Hi friends, I welcome you all here at TNV Academy. Let us come to the third clause of the ISO 22000-2018, that is terms and definitions. Before explaining the terms and definitions applicable for the purposes of this standard, let me tell you ISO and IEC maintain terminological databases for use in standardization, the URLs of which can be seen here on the screen. You are recommended to visit these websites for more information about the terms and definitions used in various standards. Now, let me start with the terms and definitions. Acceptable level. Acceptable level is a level of food safety hazard not to be exceeded in the end product provided by the organization. Action criterion. This is measurable or observable specification for the monitoring of an operational prerequisite program or OPRP. An action criterion is established to determine whether an OPRP remains in control and distinguishes between what is acceptable and unacceptable. Audit. Audit is systematic, independent, and documented process for obtaining audit evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled. An audit can be an internal audit, first party, or an external audit, second party, or third party, and it can be a combined audit combining two or more disciplines. An internal audit is conducted by the organization itself or by an external party on its behalf. Audit evidence and audit criteria are defined in ISO 19011. Relevant disciplines are, for example, food safety management, quality management, or environmental management. Competence. It is an ability to apply knowledge and skills to achieve intended results. Conformity. Conformity is fulfillment of a requirement. Contamination. Contamination is introduction or occurrence of a contaminant, including a food safety hazard, in a product or processing environment. Continual improvement. Continual improvement is a recurring activity to enhance performance. Control measure. Control measure is an action or activity that is essential to prevent a significant food safety hazard or reduce it to an acceptable level. Control measures are identified by hazard analysis. Correction. Correction is an action to eliminate a detected non-conformity. A correction includes the handling of potentially unsafe products and can therefore be made in conjunction with a corrective action. A correction may be, for example, reprocessing, further processing, and or elimination of the adverse consequences of the non-conformity, such as disposal for other use or specific labeling. Corrective action. Corrective action is an action to eliminate the cause of non-conformity and to prevent recurrence. There can be more than one cause for non-conformity, and corrective action includes cause analysis. Critical Control Point or CCP. This is a step in the process at which control measures are applied to prevent or reduce a significant food safety hazard to an acceptable level, and defined critical limits and measurement enable the application of correction. Critical limit. Critical limit is a measurable value which separates acceptability from unacceptability. Critical limits are established to determine whether a CCP remains in control. If a critical limit is exceeded or not met, the products affected are to be handled as potentially unsafe products. Documented information, information required to be controlled and maintained by an organization, and the medium on which it is contained. Documented information can be in any format and media and from any source. Documented information can refer to the management system, including related processes, information created in order for the organization to operate, evidence of results achieved. Effectiveness. Effectiveness is an extent to which planned activities are realized and planned results achieved. End product. End product is a product that will undergo no further processing or transformation by the organization. A product that undergoes further processing or transformation by another organization is an end product in the context of the first organization, and a raw material or an ingredient in the context of the second organization. Feed. Feed is basically single or multiple products, whether processed, semi-processed or raw, which is intended to be fed to the food-producing animals. Distinctions are made in this standard between the terms food, feed, and animal food. Food is intended for consumption by humans and animals and includes feed and animal food. Feed is intended to be fed to food-producing animals. Animal food is intended to be fed to non-food producing animals such as pets. Flow diagram. Flow diagram is schematic and systematic presentation of the sequence and interactions of steps in the process. Food. Food is a substance or ingredient, whether processed, semi-processed or raw, which is intended for consumption, which can include drinks, chewing gum, and any substance which has been used in the manufacture, preparation, or treatment of food, but does not include cosmetics or tobacco or substances or ingredients used only as drugs. Animal food. Animal food is single or multiple products, whether processed, semi-processed, or raw, which is intended to be fed to non-food producing animals. Food chain. Food chain is a sequence of the stages in the production, processing, distribution, storage, and handling of a food and its ingredients, from primary production to the consumption. This includes the production of feed and animal food. The food chain also includes the production of materials intended to come into contact with food or raw materials. The food chain also includes service providers. Food safety. Food safety is an assurance that food will not cause an adverse health effect for the consumer when it is prepared and or consumed in accordance with its intended use. Food safety is related to the occurrence of food safety hazards in end products and does not include other health aspects related to, for example, malnutrition. Food safety hazard. Food safety hazard is biological, chemical, or physical agent in food with the potential to cause an adverse health effect. The term hazard is not to be confused with the term risk, which in the context of food safety means a function of the probability of an adverse health effect, example, becoming diseased, and the severity of that effect, example, death, hospitalization, when exposed to a specified hazard. Food safety hazards include allergens and radiological substances. Interested party, preferred term, or stakeholder, admitted term. Interested party is a person or organization that can be affected by, or perceive itself to be affected by a decision or an activity. Lot. Lot is a defined quantity of a product produced and or processed and or packaged essentially under the same conditions. The lot is determined by parameters established beforehand by the organization and may be described by other terms. Example, batch. The lot may be reduced to a single unit of product. Management system. Management system is a set of interrelated or interacting elements of an organization to establish policies and objectives and processes to achieve those objectives. A management system can address a single discipline or several disciplines. The system elements include the organization's structure, roles and responsibilities, planning and operation. The scope of a management system may include the whole of the organization, specific and identified functions of the organization, specific and identified sections of the organization or one or more functions across a group of organizations. Relevant disciplines are, for example, a quality management system or an environmental management system. Measurement. Measurement is a process to determine a value. Monitoring. Monitoring is determining the status of a system, a process, or an activity. To determine the status, there may be a need to check, supervise, or critically observe. In the context of food safety, monitoring is conducting a planned sequence of observations or measurements to assess whether a process is operating as intended. Distinctions are made in this standard between the terms validation, monitoring, and verification. Validation is applied prior to an activity and provides information about the capability to deliver intended results. Monitoring is applied during an activity and provides information for action within a specified time frame. Verification is applied after an activity and provides information for confirmation of conformity. Non-conformity. Non-conformity is non-fulfillment of a requirement. Objective. Objective is the result to be achieved. An objective can be strategic, tactical, or operational. Objectives can relate to different disciplines such as financial, health and safety, and environmental goals, and can apply at different levels such as strategic, organization-wide, project, product, and process. An objective can be expressed in other ways. Example, as an intended outcome, a purpose, an operational criterion, as an FSMS objective, or by the use of other words with similar meaning. Example, aim, goal, or target. In the context of FSMS, objectives are set by the organization consistent with the food safety policy to achieve specific results. Operational Prerequisite Program OPRP. OPRP is control measure or combination of control measures applied to prevent or reduce a significant food safety hazard to an acceptable level, and where action criterion and measurement or observation enable effect, control. Organization. Organization is a person or group of people that has its own functions with responsibilities, authorities, and relationships to achieve its objectives. The concept of organization includes, but is not limited to sole trader, company, corporation, firm, enterprise, authority, partnership, charity, or institution, or part of combination thereof, whether incorporated or not, public or private. Outsource. Outsource is making an arrangement where an external organization performs part of an organization's function or process. An external organization is outside the scope of the management system, although the outsourced function or process is within the scope. Performance. Performance is a measurable result. Performance can relate either to quantitative or qualitative findings. Performance can relate to the management of activities, processes, products, including services, systems, or organizations. Policy. Policy is intentions and direction of an organization as formally expressed by its top management. Prerequisite Program or PRP. PRP is basic conditions and activities that are necessary within the organization and throughout the food chain to maintain food safety. The PRPs needed depend on the segment of the food chain in which the organization operates and the type of organization. Examples of equivalent terms are good agricultural practice, GAP, good veterinary practice, GVP, good manufacturing practice, GMP, good hygiene practice, GHP, good production practice, GPP, good distribution practice, GDP, and good trading practice, GTP. Process. Process is a set of interrelated or interacting activities which transforms inputs to outputs. Product. Product is an output that is a result of a process. A product can also be a service. Requirement. Requirement is a need or expectation that is stated, generally implied or obligatory. Generally implied means that it is custom or common practice for the organization and interested parties that the need or expectation under consideration is implied. A specified requirement is one that is stated, for example, in documented information. Risk. Risk is an effect of an uncertainty. An effect is a deviation from the expected, positive or negative. Uncertainty is the state, even partial or deficiency of information related to understanding or knowledge of an event, its consequence or likelihood. Risk is often characterized by reference to potential events as defined in ISO Guide 73 2009 3.5.1.3 and consequences as defined in ISO Guide 73 2009 3.6.1.3 or a combination of these. Risk is often expressed in terms of a combination of the consequences of an event, including changes in circumstances and the associated likelihood, as defined in ISO Guide 73 2009 3.6.1.1 of occurrence. Food safety risk is a function of the probability of an adverse health effect and the severity of that effect, consequential to hazards in food, as specified in the Codex Procedural Manual. Significant food safety hazard. Significant food safety hazard is food safety hazard identified through the hazard assessment, which needs to be controlled by control measures. Top management. Top management is a person or group of people who directs and controls an organization at the highest level. Top management has the power to delegate authority and provide resources within the organization. If the scope of the management system covers only part of an organization, then top management refers to those who direct and control that part of the organization. Traceability. Traceability is an ability to follow the history, application, movement, and location of an object through specified stages of production, processing, and distribution. Movement can relate to the origin of the materials, processing history or distribution of the food. An object can be a product, a material, a unit, an equipment, a service, etc. Update. Update is immediate and or planned activity to ensure application of the most recent information. Update is different from the terms maintain and retain. Maintain. Maintain is to keep something ongoing, to keep in good condition. Retain. It is to keep something that is retrievable. Validation. Validation is obtaining evidence that a control measure or combination of controlled measures will be capable of effectively controlling the significant food safety hazard. Validation is performed at the time a control measure combination is designed or whenever changes are made to the implemented controlled measures. Distinctions are made in this document between the terms validation, monitoring, and verification. Validation. Validation is applied prior to an activity and provides information about the capability to deliver intended results. Monitoring is applied during an activity and provides information for action within a specified time frame. Verification is applied after an activity and provides information for confirmation of conformity. Verification. Verification is confirmation through the provision of objective evidence that specified requirements have been fulfilled. For more information about our institute and other training programs, you can contact us through email or phone. I sincerely thank you all for your interest and attention.